Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. You're going to have to accept on hearsay because I'm too lazy to look it up. But I have heard at some time in the past about scandals where children were medicated by schools without the parents knowing. Now, this may have been done by the parents signing elaborate permission slips with lawyer-level language, or it may have been done by the school with authority from the government, because it's government arm, not needing to ask them. They have doctors in the school, school nurse. Well, it's not a doctor, but she has a 2-year degree, and she's in a public school, so we can give her a little extra authority, and they can prescribe things to kids and give the kids the drugs, and the kid has to come in the morning and get his pill at the beginning of the day. And nowadays it's, I mentioned this to a person who's a social worker, and she was horrified. She said, "That's ridiculous, it doesn't happen." Because nowadays they have to give the drugs to the parents, and the parents administer them at home. But the reason that system's in place, I submit, is because of all the scandals, which I believe were in the 90s, perhaps even in the 80s with Ritalin. I believe that was one of the main things, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a predecessor to Ritalin. Well, ADD and ADHD are government farces to cover up the failure of education, no less. ADD actually stands for, it'll be discovered in the future, not attention deficit, but Academic Deficiency Disorder. A disorder caused by a deficiency of academic material. Yes. That is courtesy of Lisa Van Dam, and I appreciate her pointing out the inadequacy of the judgments they level against kids who can't sit and drool in the public school. I can rhyme once in a while if I want to. Now, Mr. Cropper's being a jerk. Actually, there are a lot of kids with learning disabilities, and we should be sensitive to their problems. Mr. Cropper is being a jerk. These kids should have special learning tools made available to them, and they should have teachers that are more intensively involved with them. And wrong. Mr. Cropper does say all that's baloney. Because, now I don't dispute that these kids have a real, actual, measurable, quantifiable learning disability. That's true. They have a quantifiable learning disability. You can actually measure it in tests against other students, thousands and thousands of them, and you just say everybody who's in this percentile or whatever has ADHD, plus the interview with the school psychologist and stuff. I don't know the symptoms, but they must be something like disturbing other kids and causing problems and not paying attention and not listening, and if they do listen, that they don't retain anything, something like that. There's attention deficit disorder, and kids can just look off at the ceiling probably and have an attention deficit. But then there's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Well, anyways, the whole spiel here wouldn't be any good if I didn't have some real-world evidence, would it? Mr. Cropper's just being a jerk. No, Mr. Cropper has a student in his school who had been on a daily dose of medication in order to continue at the public school. And this student is successfully off their pill for a long time, and everything's going fine, learning more than they were in the public school, and so on. I have no apologies for saying that all these kids with learning diseases are actually aborted minds, aborted by our public school, so generous as to be free of charge. My school is not free of charge, and I would appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen, if you would help pay a little bit of tuition for some of the underprivileged children who attend. Maria Montessori, Martha Collins, and myself have started out with a group of underprivileged children. Lisa Van Dam will sell you CDs. All I can sell you is YouTube videos. I do appreciate your contributions. But give me time, and we'll get around to the CDs and books and lesson manuals and all kinds of good stuff.